Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review, and really, I'll just be talking about. I watched a documentary called "Getting Lost." This is a new documentary about the TV show Lost, and I myself, I'm a big fan of Lost. I've listened to, of course, many podcasts, many theories. I've watched the show at least a couple of times. I haven't watched it in a while, but the thing I'll say is that this show really made me want to get into it. This documentary revisits the global television phenomenon Lost, featuring interviews with the cast and crew, as well as members of the loyal fan base who still celebrate the show 20 years after it originally aired. This was directed by Taylor Morden, and it has a whole lot of people. I will say, notable person that was not part of the show was Matthew Fox. I believe that's Jack's name. Yeah, Matthew Fox. Uh, I don't know. Maybe they just weren't able to uh, get him, or I haven't really looked into it. Yeah, his name, just to confirm, it is Matthew Fox. Um, but it was really interesting. I like the way the documentary was paced. It did a lot of very a really cool in dive, uh, deep exploration of, first of all, the show. Right, it establishes what is the show, how did it come to be, um, how did we get to where we're going, and it does that by talking about a lot of the stars, the producers, the writers. We get to hear from J.J. Abrams, who's one of the creators of the show. We get to hear from David Lindelof. Now, J.J. Abrams eventually went off to do movies like during the run of the show. So of course he has a different perspective where he talks about, he eventually kind of became a fan. Another notable person that was missed here was Naveen Andrews. Now, I haven't kept up with a lot of these people, so if there's a specific reason somebody doesn't show up, I don't really look too much into it. So just keep that in mind. Um, but yeah, those were kind of as far as the cast goes, were notable misses. And the short starts with an exploration of how did this show change television. It spends a few minutes, actually quite a bit of time, spends it on the pilot and how that came to be, the cultural impact of the show when it comes to people talking about it, people experiencing it. At the time of the show, this was the advent of like some of the social media sites, including Twitter, and then also, of course, even podcasting was in its infancy. So like all those things kind of really, they really focus on this show kind of being and happening at the perfect time for what's happening here. So that's really cool. I love the interviews with the cast and crew. But another thing that it does very well, I think, is explore the impact it had on some people's lives specifically. There was the advent, as I mentioned, there was people that were podcasting about this, or they were creating content, as we would call it now, and that kind of changed their lives. It helped them build a community online. Like I said, forums were very popular back then. Twitter was something that was just taking off. So we hear from some celebrities like Bobby Moynihan, who's like kind of a super fan of Lost. So that's really interesting. But the show also doesn't pull any punches when it comes to exploring. First of all, there was a lot of allegations of some misdoings in the writers' room and people being mistreated, and I think the show addresses that in a very good way, where people take responsibility for those actions. It also has a lot of heart when it comes to showing the personal impact on a few people, where this show kind of saved their lives, and there was a few people that, whether it was some kind of terminal illness or some kind of issue with their own personal life, that they kind of uh, the show kind of helped them get through those difficult times. So that's always kind of interesting to see the impact that a show like this can have on a personal level. But then, of course, gathering the community, and then it closes out kind of like with the reception of the ending, and then kind of how people feel about it. But it's very, very interesting. It's a well time spent. It's time well spent, I would say, especially if you're a fan of Lost. Like, the main thing I got out of this was that, do I want to rewatch Lost? Is that something that I want to venture into right now? Because that was really, really cool. So it's got a lot of really cool transitions. I think sometimes documentaries live and die by like the little transition. So they get one of the actors who I'm trying to look up his name. I should have looked at it before I started shooting the video, but it has Francois Charles, who shot some of the Dharma Initiative videos. If you've seen the show, he also does some of the interstitials and some of the little things that they insert to kind of transition from one thing to another. They visit a lot of the sets and a lot of stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool shots. You can tell there's a lot of love and effort put into this. This was definitely made by somebody who is a fan, and as somebody that really enjoys this show, and although I can admit myself that it's not perfect, I really think that it was something that pretty special, right? I think we have prestige television now, and a little bit more often, just because there's so much stuff being made. But back then, the choices were not as limitless. So really cool. So yeah, great documentary. I love stuff like this where it just kind of takes me back in time, and I think that's what a documentary, not only should it inform you, but it should also reach you on a more personal level. And I think getting to that matter, that's what's very difficult. But I think the creators here actually they nailed it. So I recommend it. You can rent this on Amazon for like $5. You can find it other places. So yeah, make sure to go check it out. Support stuff like this because I think it's fun to have a little retrospective on some of the shows that made pop culture fun and what it is. So if you've seen the show, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And stay tuned because we have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.